Hello, Math 2 students. This is mainly for the afternoon people or for people who didn't wake up and come to class. Now is not the time to miss class. Let's finish strong and finish this mad dash, this sprint to the end zone. Okay, this is your basic probability. This is for Unit 10, Lesson 1, the supplemental things. We did this all in the morning class in case you missed some of the notes. Here you go. So let's get started with our stuff for Unit 10. And we're on Lesson 1, which the section we're going to be doing is Probability Basics. One student said she had seen some of this stuff in elementary school. Yes, that's true. Some of the stuff may be in middle school. Some of the stuff may be last year in Math 1. Some stuff is into it, by the way. Get some bonus points if you can identify the logo for my beanie or for my shirt. Tell me tomorrow during class. Get some bonuses. Maybe earn yourself some lunch later in the week. Okay, we're going to start with number 4. And this is based off of where we left off in the afternoon class. We're going to toss or flip a coin. Same thing. And I have a coin right here next to me, one of the ones you saw on camera today. And then I also want to roll a die. Okay, which is the singular of dice. Okay, so I'm going to do those things, which is why I'm going to have my dice. And here's my coin, okay, with John F. Kennedy. This is a 50-cent coin, $50. Okay, so let me put this to the side so we can make our tree diagram. The tree diagram is going to be for all of our outcomes. Well, for this coin, there's only 2 sides, right? Either lands on what in the US we say it as heads, or on this side as tails. It's probably not going to land like this, so we don't even have to deal with landing on its edge. It is possible that it could do that, but very improbable. So since it's at coin first, I'm going to go and I'm going to spread it out. I'm going to put, it can be heads or tails. Okay, so first I would do this, flip it. That would be tails. That would be down here. Okay, and then I'm supposed to roll my die. This time it would be a 2. Well, what are my possibilities for this die? Well, there's 6 different numbers, right? So let me write down those 6 different things that can occur after getting a heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now my question is, what are the number of possible outcomes, the number of possibilities that are possible when doing an experiment with a coin and 1 die? Well, you would have to go look at the leaves. The leaves would be all of these guys back here. Remember, this is a tree diagram, just like a physical tree. You have your trunk, your big branches, which branch off into smaller branches until you get to the leaves. The leaves tell you how many possibilities you have. Also, I want you to notice, how many possibilities do we have for the coin? So the coin, we have 2 possibilities, right? Heads or tails. And then for the die, well, we have 6 possibilities. And notice our answer was 12. So what operation did we do with the 2 and the 6? I think most of you get it that we're going to have to multiply. This is called the counting principle, which seemed logical to both Taylor in the morning, I think it was, and to Elisa in the afternoon. And it's actually something semi-complicated. Okay, so now and notice our chart's starting to get big. Now I'm going to change the paper and go on to one where we have more options, something more real life. Let's talk about some cell phones. Problem number 5. We're going to go cell phone shopping. Your mom, your auntie, grandma, dad, guardian, somebody who likes you, we're supposed to pay for your stuff if you behave, is going to get you a phone. You go online to the website, or you actually go to a physical store. Not right now because they should be shut down for quarantine. But you have 2 options that are there for the ones that your parent says that they're going to buy you. They say that they'll buy you a 16 gigabyte hard drive one or a 32 gigabyte. Okay. Also, we have a selection of colors that are available in all the different brands that they carry. Well, we're gonna be able to pick from a black phone, a teal phone, a sage phone, and a red phone. And I'm gonna put a little slash to indicate that these go in the same category. And here's red, okay? Comma. You may be asking yourself what teal and sage are. Some of the boys may not know those colors. Teal is like Miami Dolphins color, like a blue-green. Sage, Erica in the morning said it's a dusty green. Okay, that's what I had in mind also, some kind of green thing. Well, now you may want to know, well, what companies are these phones made by? Well, they're made by Samsung, also Apple, so there's some type of iPhone is available. And then there's a Motorola there too. In your notes, I want you to indicate which one would you choose. So you're going to choose one hard drive size, so either a 16 or a 32. Then pick one of these colors, and then pick one of these brands, okay? One of these models. We're going to make that chart, that tree diagram for all of this. So let's make that tree diagram. Let's start. And remember that our tree diagram is basically spelling out what the outcomes are, the possibilities. So tree diagram. Well, we have two possibilities for the hard drives. We have a 16 and a 32. Make sure you space these out because our branches are we're gonna have a very dense tree, lots of little branches. Well, we have 4 colors, so each of these needs to have 4 branches coming off of it. We're gonna have a black branch, a teal one, a sage, and a red. This one's also gonna have a black, a teal, a sage, and a red. Okay, we did the color. Now let's talk about the different models, the different brands. Okay, each one needs to have 3, and we're gonna reuse the S. So S, I, M. 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 S, I, and M. And just because it's on my mind, I made the joke in the morning and to make it for the afternoon. Notice what our colors sort of spell, and I'm not referring to the Korean band. That's what I mentioned in the morning, not BTS. The favorite band is some of my people in the afternoon, just as a joke. No, Levi and Elisa probably don't like that, and Levi's gonna roll his eyes that I mentioned him, and Elisa as well. So now we have all our possibilities. How do we figure out how many possibilities? Well, you would need to count up all these SIMs, because what are those called? I colored it in green because notice tree. Trees have what? Trees have leaves. Our leaves are the number of possible things that can happen. Well, how many are there? Yes, I can count them, but let's use the counting principle. How many types of hard drives are there? Well, there's 2 sizes. How many colors? 4 from 3 different models. So we need 2 times 4 times 3. This part right here is 8. Drop down the 3. That is 24. So there's 24 possible phones that you can choose from, which is a wide variety. And I want you to list out and circle which one you would choose from. For example, in the morning class, I seem to remember that a student chose a 32 in Sage and Motorola. Another student also chose a 32 in Sage, but it was a Samsung. And then there was another student, grab a different color, who, I don't know why, but they chose a smaller hard drive, 16. They wanted a teal Samsung. Remember that we can list off these things. So if we were to list off the blue one, we would have a 16 gigabyte teal. I'll just put Sam for Samsung. the other ones over here, we would have a 32 gigabyte Sage Color, what was it, Motorola, and also a 32 gigabyte Sage. Let me make sure I'm going the right way. Yeah, Samsung. Okay, I'm gonna switch the paper real quick. On to the next problem. So now let's talk about this guy again. We want to roll this thing 5 times, and we want to know how many possible things can we get. Well, let's write that down, what we want to do. So this is problem number 6. We want to know the number of possible, of outcomes that happen when you roll a die 5 times. Since we're doing it 5 times, let's draw 5 blanks. We're going to do this in class tomorrow with lesson 2. It made a lot of sense to last year's class. Going to do it with you guys. It's going to bring us a lot of success. Well, let's just, as an example, underneath I'm also going to draw 5 lines of what I'm actually going to get. So let's roll this. I got a 1. I got a 4. 6. You can also try it out with a physical die or use the stats tools to do a virtual dice and roll it. 4 and a 3. So I want to know, this is one possible outcome out of how many? We're going to see that our answer is going to be humongous. Lots of your answers are really big. So we're going to want to use the counting principle with some multiplication. So how many possible numbers can I get out of here? Notice I didn't even get all of them. Over there, there's some doubles. There's 2 4s. But there's 6 different numbers on here, right? There's 6 sides to this cube. So when I'm on my first roll, it was possible that I could have gotten 6 different numbers here. I got that one specifically. So this bottom part, we're going to ignore it. I'm even going to cover it up so you're not even thinking about it with some cards. When we roll it again, we roll the die again, there's still a number, 6 more possibilities. And 6 more possibilities, and 6 more possibilities, and 6 more possibilities. Okay? What do we do with all these numbers? Well, we have to multiply them. That's how the counting principle works. And how can I write that down in a different format? Because I don't want to do that big old long problem. Well, isn't that just 6 to the 5th power? This is why they invented this, to make it shorter. And now we grab a calculator, and we're going to enter 6 to the 5th power. And what do we get? Well, when I entered 6 caret 5, it is 7,776. Big number, but there's a rationale behind how we got this. So that means that what we got in pink right there is just 1 out of that many possibilities. So it's very probable that if I rolled it 5 more times, I'm not going to get that again. Okay. Now let's talk about some shoes. We're going to do some shoe shopping for the ladies in the class. The guys can purchase for significant other, possibly for mom, sister, cousin, tia. Okay, so number 7, again, we're talking about women's shoes and some fancy kind of formal women's shoes. Where at this store, there's not going to be half sizes. Okay, we're going to say that those are not available. Sometimes they're not. So whole sizes are only available. Which whole sizes? From 5 to 11. Well, there's a bunch of colors. The colors available are red, navy, which is a blue, dark blue. Okay, we also have brown and we have black. Okay, and then there's 2 different materials, which are leather and suede. Think about if you know what that is, and I'll mention it in a second. Plus, there's 3 different widths. So how wide the shoe is. Some people's feet are skinnier side to side. Some of ours are wider. You need more room to get yourself in there, be comfortable. Suede, by the way, something smooth. You don't like getting it wet. It's sort of like velvety kind of, leathery kind of thing. Okay. Now let's count up how many possibilities. This is just the category. Well, how many sizes is it from 5 to 11? Well, one thing you could do is you can just count it on your fingers, or you can go 11 minus 5, but you'd be counting too short. You have to count one more. So 11 minus 5 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So there's 7 total shoe sizes. How many colors? Those are 4. There's 2 different materials that can be used for our shoes. there are 3 different widths. So here I have my multiplication problem that is going to use the counting principle. 7 times 4 times 2 times 3 is 168. So there's 168 different kinds of shoes that ladies can choose from here in the women's department for the shoes. Okay, now let's talk about some cars. Now let's talk about cars. This thing earlier in the school year, one of my students from Math 3, Francisco Cabrera, brought it to me saying, Rodrigo, you want this thing? I got a bunch of them because he was out and about looking at cars. I said, yeah, I'll use it for something. Specifically, I was thinking about Math 2 at this part. Because notice if you're car shopping, there's a whole bunch of different options you can choose from. Some usually just go with the basic things. So notice there's the limited, there's the XLE, there's the LE, there's a bunch of colors. We're going to count those up. There is different trim and there's different wheels we can choose from. I'm going to also say that this car comes in the regular traditional gas motor or an electric. It may not come in electric, but we're going to say it for our sake. So let's write some stuff down. So this is number 8. We're going to talk about a car. So again, I told you that I want us to think about this coming in gas and electric. I know there's hybrid. We're going to just say that there's those two, just so that you can count certain things. Well, exterior colors. Here we have all the little, I think they're called swatches of what you can put on the outside. Let's count it up. It's 3 by 4. There's 12. 12 different exterior colors is going to equal 12. What about the interior? Well, the interior, I guess, would be considered this. Not too much variety because notice all the trims look pretty similar to me. A little bit of accents. Well, there's 3 different ones. They're sort of boring actually, if you ask me. Wheels, well, here are 4 different wheels to choose from. The diameters, or there's only 17s and 18s. I think that's talking about the diameter. And a little bit different materials with steel. There's alloys, which are mixtures of metals. Okay, so let's write that down. Wheels, we're gonna say, well, there was 4. I don't see anything about the doors. The original problem in the book said something about doors. Let's say that they give us 3 different options. So let's use the counting principle and figure out how many different possibilities are there from buying this Nissan car, the CHR 2020 edition. Okay, well, if there's gas and electric, then you do 2 times 12 times 3 times 4 times another 3. 2 times 12 times 3 times 4 times 3. Let me double check, make sure I got all the numbers on the calculator. I did, and I got 864 options. Usually those are not on the lot. Most people go with the basics. I was asking the morning people because I noticed one of the last days before we were all quarantined out in the parking lot that my car for the staff is one of the few cars that isn't gray or white. Most of the other ones are gray or white. The morning people only have their parents and other driving relatives only have gray white cars. Mine's like a greenish shade Nissan. So comment in the comments or tell me tomorrow what colors do your family own. Curious to know if it's just gray or white. Most of the students in the morning, it was gray or white. They had some black cars also. One of the students said she wanted a, what was it? It was like a light blue kind of color car. That was Erica. That would be a nice color. Now let's go to do a couple more problems. Let me